I've had my Shopsmith since 1982. Over the time that I've had it, rolling it around on asphalt driveways and taken on job sites, the casters have disintegrated. They've fallen off in a couple cases or really got destroyed. And I noticed that Shopsmith had some upgrades to the casters. So I ordered the upgrade kit, and I'm going to go through the steps to put the new casters on and see how much it rolls. Right now it doesn't roll at all. This is with the wheels are just so worn out. So this upgrade kit, what it came with is, it comes with instructions, a paper template, because what you have to do is you have to relocate the bracket that attaches the casters to the base of the Shopsmith. So being that they're went from like an 1.5 inch caster to a 3-inch caster, the brackets need to be moved up so that you can adjust them, roll it around, then set them and lock it back down. So I opted to go with instead of the paper template, because I figured that would probably not be as accurate. They sold an extra template, a metal guide, and a drill bit for that. So the casters are actually pretty nice. They're these, if you call it polyurethane, bearings and swivel, and these should just snap in there. So the kit came with four casters. And then it also came with the instructions if you use the paper one, or if you use, here's the nuts and bolts for it, for attaching, relocating the bracket. And it actually came with the template guide that will fit in, this pin, indexing pin, will fit in the bottom hole on the bottom of the Shopsmith base. And then you're going to put a bolt in here to lock this in place, then drill these two other holes out, and that's going to locate the spacing or the distance where the brackets, the existing brackets are, is just going to move it up higher. So I'm going to go through the steps. It actually came with the drill bit too. It's 9/32. So what they're asking you to do is flip the Shopsmith over upside down to make it easier to work on. I've seen some other videos where someone left it in place, but what I'm going to do is take some pictures of how bad the casters are, and then flip it over, put it on a blanket. I've heard someone say take the motor off. I'm not going to do all that. I'm hoping that I can flip this over and just rest it on the table, and the table and the extension table base. I'm going to put a blanket down on the ground, and then we'll show some pictures of it coming apart and going back together, and some of drilling the holes. So let me stop and do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a blanket down, just because I'm putting the tabletop of the Shopsmith on the ground, hopefully. So I'm going to lay that out this way. And my goal is to rotate this or roll this so I can get to the feet. Okay, so it looks a little dusty. I'm going to just move the blanket in so I can get a chair in there. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see here, but this caster is missing. Looks like the base. Well, good thing I flipped this over. I mean, moving this around for many years, notice there's cobwebs, but some of the pieces have come loose. So I'll tighten that in the process. You can see this one wore off. And I'll remove this assembly, and then I'll drill these holes out. So if you look at the other side, I definitely moved around asphalt for many years. I remember putting this in the back of my truck and taking on job sites. So I'll clean this up while I'm at it. This side's not as loose as that side was. So let me just clean this up a little bit. We'll disassemble it, and we'll walk you through some of the steps. So like they said in the instructions and some of the videos I've watched, they said that when you go to attach the mounting bracket, this indexing pin here, may be a little tight, may not fit into that. So what they were suggesting that you do is you take the drill bit that was included with that. I'm going to ream this out and open that hole up a little bit so that indexing pin will fit into that hole better. So I've set the drill bit up. I'm going to drill that hole out. I just reamed it out a little bit, and then that indexing pin is going to fit right in that hole. And then what you do is you locate this center hole on the template. This is an extra item. I think it was like $20 at the time I bought it. So I'm going to put that in there, and it's saying to put a nut and bolt through that to hold it in place. And then that's going to help you locate where to drill the other holes for where you need to move the bracket or the whole wheel assembly up higher in the base of the foot of the Shopsmith, the legs. Because you're going from like an 1.5 inch caster to a 3-inch caster, so you got to move it up quite a bit. So that's what this does. It did come with the paper template. I just didn't feel comfortable with that. I figured that this one here would help me line that up, and to spend an extra $20 to me that was worth it, rather than misaligning some holes. So I'm going to just put a nut and bolt through that. And I'm going to just cinch that down a little bit so it doesn't move. And then you just pre-drill those holes. So they were saying to put like I guess an oil on here. Let me move the blanket out of the way. I don't have that oil. I'm going to try it without it. If not, I might have some WD-40 or something. Let me grab some safety glasses and I'll come back and do that. Okay, so now I got safety glasses. I'm going to attempt to drill these holes. I did spray that with a little WD-40 because I didn't have any lightweight oil they're talking about. So I'm going to set this in there. You know what? He did say put a clamp on there. I'm going to put a clamp on there because I don't want that to move. So on the back side of this, they were recommending if we come around here, the clamps made a lot of difference. The piece felt like it was moving around, but they were just saying to get a file and file whatever shavings you might have there. It doesn't look like I got too much, so I'm just going to move the template to the other side. I'm going to unscrew that bracket. On the other side, I already pre-drilled the hole to remove any paint that might have been in the first hole. So this is going to fit on here without drilling it. So you can see the indexing pin come through. You can see the bolt come through. I'm going to put the nut on it. And I liked it with the clamp on there, so I'm going to go ahead and put these clamps on again. That seemed to make it go a little bit easier. I have to be honest with you, I've been procrastinating doing this for months just because I hate drilling in the metal and I hate doing stuff like this, but so far it seems like it's going to work out really well and pretty easy to do. So let me again come through and drill those. I'm going to just put a little bit more WD-40 on there, just because I don't have the oil. Put they were talking about. So I got the holes drilled. I'm going to take the clamps off, unbolt the template. I might get a file and knock that backside of that down a little bit just so when I'm putting the pieces in I don't get splintered by it. Metal shavings of my fingers. So that was pretty simple, pretty quick, easy. Now it's cleaning up the caster and getting the parts off the caster. So I'll clean this up a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to knock these the wheels out of here and then insert the new wheels, then attach that bracket. I think it's going to be pretty simple, but let me go through those steps and do that. We'll see what happens. So what I've done is I clamped the wheel assembly into a vise, or this micro jig clamp, and I'm going to see if I can just tap this with the mallet and see if the caster comes out. So that looks like it's going to be pretty easy. So a little bit more. So that just pulled out. Let me turn around and do the other one real quick. See if I can get the clamp in there and do that. I just thought the clamp might make it a little bit easier. This is the newer micro jig clamp that actually has like a V-block on the pad that's actually holding it into the table here. And again, we'll just tap that. Okay, so we got the casters out. Now, they talked about different things for putting the casters in. What I'm going to do is set it up here. Someone was talking about maybe getting this little brass ring here and pinching it with a pair of pliers. I'm going to see if that just fits in there and see if I could just hammer that in. Looks like I might struggle there a little bit. So let me get a pair of pliers to see if I pinch that, what happens. So I'm just going to pinch that brass ring a little bit. And I might need to just get a bigger hammer or maybe hit it here better with the hammer. This may not work, but I'm going to try this. Or maybe it will work. So pretty simple there. I'm excited that this thing hasn't rolled around the shop in a long time. So I'll go back to the other side. I don't know if pinching it made a difference or not. I'm going to slightly pinch that, put it in the other side. Once it clears that brass ring, I mean it's in there, so it's not falling out. I don't know if there's a left and right of these. Let's see what happens when I put this in. So I did leave the other side attached, so that's just going to fit in there, and then those bolts are going to go through and hold that in place. So looks like it needs to go down a little bit. I can see it lined up on that side. Now it's lined up on that side. So I'm going to take the nuts and bolts it came with. There's 4 washers in here that are going to be used for like shims if when you have the wheels all the way adjusted up, if for some reason that the wheels are still dragging on the ground or not, you can put these shims in there. So unfortunately you're not going to know till you set it up and try it. But it comes with looks like it comes with a nut with kind of a lock washer on the back side. I'm going to put that in on this side and put the nut on there. I'll do that to all 4 sides. Those things in life we procrastinate on, but I've had these things for at least 4 or 5 months, and I was just dreading drilling into the metal and doing it. But if this works, it only took a few minutes to do, and it wasn't worth the procrastination. That one's going to be a little trickier with trying to get my hands and fingers and hold that on there. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get I think it's a 7/16 wrench, and I'm going to get a Phillips screwdriver and tighten all that down, and we'll see how that works. All right, that side looks complete. So now move on to the next side and do all the same steps. So that was a little bit easier than I thought. Let me show you how bad these casters were. That you can see this one here. The center hub is completely worn out. You can't even see it. This one, the whole tire is kind of worn diagonally from pushing it around. This, the whole tire's gone. and this one again, the center hub. But like I said, I bought this in the early 80s, and for it to last as long as it has, that I'm sure that these new casters will last me the rest of my life. I primarily use the Shopsmith more probably as a drill press than anything else. When I first got it, I used the table saw, the lathe, the disc sander, the horizontal boring machine, the drill press. But I have most of that equipment separate now, so mainly is the lathe, or I mean the drill press is what I use it for nowadays. And I'm real happy with mine. I would never sell it. And that's the only drill press that I have at this point. So let me roll it back over and let's see what it does. See if it's going to need those spacers, those shims. Okay. Well, looks like we ran into an issue that I didn't pay attention when I was mounting the brackets to where I located them in the existing holes. Looks like on this side I put the casters and the bracket back in the first holes. On this one I put them in the new holes. So it's sitting at an angle and I need to adjust something. So I'm going to flip it back over, adjust that, and we'll see what happens. Right now it's not working right because it's not set up right. So let me flip that over and we'll come back and see how it works. So what I did is I readjusted the caster, located it up higher, and this thing hasn't moved in probably 10-15 years. I just had one spot, I'd move it up and down for the drill press, and I haven't rolled it around. But with these new casters, look at this, over my toe. This thing moves around so easy. They say in the videos you can move it with one finger. That is an awesome feature. With these locking devices, you come over here, you push this down, do that on both sides, and now it's on the ground. So it doesn't look like I need those shims. So I'm happy with what I've got so far. Let's adjust that back up. There's actually a couple positions that moves up into. Do that on both sides. So I'm happy with that. That I want to say was, I'm going to say top of my head, $69. Bought it 5 months ago. So now I'm able to move this around. I had it sitting at my door for the last month. Now I'm able to move it around the shop and move it where I want to use it to work. So I'm looking forward to that. If you like this video, please like, subscribe. And like the notifications so that we could send you notifications when we send up new videos. Thank you for watching.